A very warm good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, viewers. I'm Matheus Haakuria, news editor of the Namibian Sun newspaper. Welcome to another edition of the Evening Review Show. Well, straight here from Eros, just right next door, the National Housing Enterprise is still on labor strike, day 8 of the strike that is. And for that, we have the Public Service Union of Namibia Secretary General in the studio, Mr. Matheus Haakuria. Welcome, sir, and welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
Just a few days ago, you were here and we're back again.
Yes.
Could you perhaps give us an update on the strike and how things are going?
Now, the strike is on. As we have indicated, we are in day 8 now of the strike. Yesterday, we had an assessment where we called our shop stewards and members together to do a post-mortem on the strike to reflect on what went wrong, what went well, where are the weaknesses, and so on. And on the positive side, we realized that there is still very, very strong support for the strike. The members are united. They are determined to continue with the strike. On the negative side, we realized that also from the employer side, the code of silence is still being maintained. If there are things that they are doing, then surely they are not really sharing that with the striking workers as to how do they intend to end the strike from their side. So there is not much you get from management. Whenever we interact is when there is a violation of a strike rule or something like that, then you meet and discuss it, and there is not anything coming from the board. I understand there is a new board now. We did engage the minister publicly on Friday. Today is Tuesday. We did not have any response from a minister whether he did what we asked him to do for the 3rd time since we started begging him to do that since last year.
Yeah.
So things are at a stalemate. I believe that we are doubling down. We will continue with the strike. And what the NHE management have decided, that is known to them. I understand there's a board meeting ongoing. I don't know what will be the outcome, and I don't even know the agenda as to what are they discussing the strike or are they discussing their other issues. Yeah.
When you say you've not heard anything from management so far as to the way forward and as to whether they will want to come up with solutions to bring the strike to a halt. But is it really fair to expect that from them, seeing that the workers are the ones who decided to go on strike?
Yeah, it is very much fair because it should be understood that strike is a legal tool given to the workers to force the management to hit the demands of the workers, the legitimate demands of the workers. So it's a tool given by law to the workers. So workers will embark on a strike to force the company to listen. So in the case of the NHE, the workers was forced by the NHE to go on strike. Had the previous board of directors of the NHE, if they had the decency to engage the workers and explain themselves why they are making the decisions that they are making, there wouldn't be a strike. Had the NHE management managed the board properly to make the board understand the importance of meeting the union, we wouldn't have had a strike. So the ball is not in our court. We took our decision, we threw our punch. It's up to them. Yeah, how they will take that punch and come back to us. Because they are the ones, the management, who do not have the mandate to negotiate. It is the board that is refusing to give the mandate to the management to negotiate. It is still the same board that failed to meet the union and refused to meet the union. It is the minister that we called upon 3 times to impress on the board and the management to engage the workers that failed to meet, to honor this or to do anything about it. Yeah.
Oh, but this is a new board. I'm sure they just started off recently. So what do you expect them to do in that regard? What would you say would have been the ideal start for them?
For us, a new board coming on amidst a strike, we wrote a letter to the board, to the minister, to the management, through the CEO's office. You would expect the board to acknowledge and to say, we received your letter, we are aware of your concern, please be patient, those normal ways that they use, we are attending to the problem, or we are offering this, or we are new, we are still doing handover. Once we are done, on this date we are going to meet, this is the agenda, we intend to meet you here. You expect a response. But what we are seeing now is a code of silence. Yeah, the management is silent, they don't know what is happening. The new board is silent, the minister is silent, everybody is silent. And the workers are there under the tree, toing.
Ordinarily, you'll see that in societies, the most effective strikes are always those of companies that are really felt on the ground. I mean, like the NBC strike not so long ago, that one was felt all over. And there was indeed a set of element of rush to really reach consensus on the negotiation table. But with NHE, it's sort of a different ball game, because it's not a company that's really felt on the ground that without this, our daily chores cannot go on as a nation. Do you think that also perhaps gives the board or management leeway to say that this ones can just make noise as long as the public don't become involved, we're fine?
Yeah, one wouldn't discard your idea at the very go, but the intention of a strike is against the company and the shareholder. The strike is aimed at making the company listen to the workers. Now, whether it is a small company on the periphery somewhere there, or a big company like the NBC, or maybe a big bank that is affecting everyone, the management of that company, if they feel the strike, they will respond. That is the intention, but never mind. The strike of the NBC took almost a month, despite it being a national broadcaster, and there is no radio service, no TV. It took a month. So that tells you that it's more about the complacency of leadership to respond to workers' demand. Yeah, you have a national broadcaster going on strike. There are provisions in the Labour Act where the Minister of Labour could have ended the fray and intervene and resolve the problem. You have a national housing enterprise on strike. The minister is sitting here maybe a kilometer from the NHE. We had to go to a demonstration to draw his attention to the matter. The Minister of Labour is like 2-3 kilometers down the line there in Kommersdal, next to the Kommersdal soccer field. We haven't heard from him or his deputy. So whom else should I mention?
In fact, your office is less than 2 kilometers away from the Labour headquarters.
Exactly. So there is nobody reaching out, and it is the culture of maybe people do not care anymore about workers' rights. They don't care about the trade union rights of workers anymore. So if that is the situation, then it means that we have to teach people that they should respect workers. And one of the tools we are using for them to learn to respect workers is to use a strike.
End of March, if the strike still persists, workers will not get their salaries. And I'm sure in the back of their minds, that will also be lingering as to how will I pay my bills, how will I take care of my financial responsibilities. So, as a union, what is your responsibility in that regard, as far as ensuring that things are solved amicably and very swiftly?
Our responsibility is to educate our members so that they are fully aware of the consequences of the strike, which we did and which they understand that is a situation. And they should take the punch fully aware of the consequences of what you are doing. Our responsibility is also further to bring pressure or to put pressure on the company to respond before things get to that level. And that means engaging other societal forces, like we had to do a demonstration to the minister's office. We are doing this to ensure that the strike ends as quickly as possible, hoping that if the minister is serious, the minister will engage the board, engage the management, and say, guys, can you do something? We have also engaged our federation, Tugna, our president, also to come in and to engage the management, to engage the board, to engage the minister at his level, and to make sure that the strike comes to an end if needs be even this week. So in a second phase where we are now, this is the time for us where we now start reaching out to other progressive forces in society to bring pressure to bear on the ministry, on the management, on the board, for them to respond, because this strike is one-sided in one aspect. Since the beginning, it seems that since the beginning of the strike, it is the union that is pushing to get a solution and to end the strike. From the side of government, from the side of the company, from the side of the board, there is no appetite to end the strike. Probably for reasons known to people, those who are supposed to act who are not acting. So it's a one-sided affair. It can be maybe they have the intention of saying, let us drag out the strike for a month, for 2 months, then the workers will be retrenched and that union will lose members, or it will look like a failure. Probably it's the political intention that they have. Yeah, but for every action there are consequences, and we are ready for that. Yeah.
Or is it maybe a matter of the staff who opted not to go to join the strike, or those not part of the bargaining unit? Maybe those ones are adequate to carry out the mandate of the company.
Yeah, in which case then we will have to take action against the person who appointed these people to the organization, to the point where they are overstaffed. So it means they appointed people who are not needed at the company all these years. So somebody must answer.
Yeah.
But what the company is doing is that they have given forms to the employees to volunteer to do the work of non-striking employees, probably to keep the critical functions of the company running. We had a discussion. We met the company yesterday. We discussed about it, and we didn't resolve it yet. So we.
But has that been proven, or is just allegations?
No, it has been proven. There are certain systems in the company that can only be operated by certain employees, and these employees are on strike. We understand a consultant was brought in, and after that consultant was brought in, certain activities took place which must be done by workers that are on strike. Yeah, because those inside do not have the expertise to perform those functions. So this is happening. Yeah, there is sufficient proof for that.
So what was the response when you engaged them?
The resolution was we have to resolve things in terms of the strike rules. That is, we have to engage the Office of the Labour Commissioner, the arbitrator, for him to deal with these breaches of the strike rules. Yeah. Yeah. And that is a process currently in place now. Yeah.
Of course, if we look back at the NBC strike, the arbitrator had ruled at the time that the company's decision not to pay the workers who were on strike was legal. So with that in the back of your mind, and of course with NHE also adopting that no work, no pay principle, what does that ruling do to this type of labor actions going forward?
You see, that is one of the rulings. Such rulings are what we in trade unions call conservative ruling, where the arbitrator or the judge or the magistrate sides with the employer. Those who are entrusted to make rulings on labor matters needs to be progressive. Let me give you a further elucidation. If you go to Section 12 of the Labor Act, it is the only section that governs deductions from salaries and so on. I think Part B somewhere there says, no employer should deduct more than 1/3 of the employee's remuneration. Now, that requirement alone means that even if you make your deductions of the no work, no pay rule, no employee should go home with the zero balance, because then you are over 1/3.
Yeah.
Now, how the arbitrator, in the case of the employee of the NBC, overcame that hurdle for the arbitrator to rule that when people went home with negative salaries, negative 3,000 in the bank, zero balances, the NBC was right. I need to maybe become an advocate or something in law to understand. As a layman, a normal trade unionist, when I read the provisions of that law, it is clear that you can deduct, but you don't deduct more than 1/3. So at least every working citizen in this country, irrespective of what you owe people, you should be able to take 1/3 of your remuneration home.
Yeah.
And I think this was the intention of the parliamentarians when they passed that law, to ensure that nobody goes home with a zero salary. How an arbitrator can rule and say if people go home with a zero salary is correct, maybe you must invite that arbitrator to evening review and interview him. Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, it's...
yeah. So, of course, as a union, these are some of the things that are in your domain to take up, to ensure that the system is watertight, so that workers cannot go through such predicaments going forward. So what are you and your team doing in this regard? But maybe just before you answer, let's just go for a short break and we'll be back to continue this conversation. Okay. Well, to our viewers, wait for a short break and we'll be back to continue this conversation.
Flex is a health and fitness show that focuses on mind, body and spirit. Flex aims to reach all audiences that would love to focus on the health of the mind, body and spirit. The show is broadcasted on NTV, 1up2.com and cross-shared on the following Facebook platforms: The Republican, Algemene Zeitung, Namibian Sun, Namibian Media Holdings, Sportsrec, Irongo, MyZone, We and Ewi. Flex focuses on daily fitness where we will be flexing our muscles, wellness interviews where we will be flexing our mind. For editorial and advertising queries, please contact zone@synergy.com.na.
NMH at 1 brings you news from all corners of Namibia. NMH at 1 aims to reach viewers countrywide who are interested in current affairs in a short and sweet format. This show is broadcasted on NTV, 1up2.com and cross-shared on the following Facebook platforms: The Republican, Algemene Zeitung, Namibian Sun, Namibia Media Holdings, Irongo and Vindic Express. To share your news or advertise on this platform, contact nmh1@synergy.com.na. NMH at 1, your lunchtime news companion.
Well, welcome back from the short break. Mr. Haakuria, we spoke of the impact of this type of rulings on, well, let's say the entire labor sector going forward. And I had asked what you make of it and how it will impact your work as a union going forward.
You see, if you go back to the old Labor Act where we had the district labor courts, it was realized that the legal technicalities is creating problems for the ordinary workers, and that is why in a new dispensation we had to use the labor commissioner. There is also a provision in the Labor Act where it says that labor disputes must be handled with the minimum legal formalities or technicalities. But right now, at the moment, you go to the office of the Labor Commissioner and you see the bunch of lawyers that are there. There is no difference between a court case here at the High Court and there. It's the same thing. It has become too legal. And these decisions are done deliberately, I think, for a lack of a better word, because they make those rulings. Your next step is that you must appeal to the labor court. Going to the labor court, you need to go to a lawyer first. The lawyer must get you an advocate. So you pay the lawyer, you pay the advocate. And you know how advocates are paid per page, per minute. Lawyers, even an email that they send, an SMS, you must pay them. So this is negatively affecting the work of trade unions. This is affecting the workers, because I think people are making rulings with a full understanding that they know that the union or the worker that lost the case will not have the funds to challenge this at the labor court. And something must be done about it. We must find creative ways to challenge this and take things back to the original intent that it had. Because at the moment, a lot of cases are lost over small thing. You did not put a comma there on the LC21 or whatever form, or your case is thrown out.
Yeah.
Cases are dragging out too long because lawyers are coming there with the raising points in limine, preliminary issues. The arbitrators, they make their rulings. You know, we have this feeling in unions at the moment when you rock up at the labor commissioner and the company turns up with a lawyer or an advocate on the other side, you get the impression that the company has already won 50% simply because there's a lawyer on that side. Yeah.
So don't you guys have arrangements with perhaps lawyers? Or, I mean, as a union, you ought to also have a war chest to defend your members.
We have arrangements with lawyers. We have lawyers that are using handling those complicated cases, but resources do not permit you to approach a lawyer every time, and you have to rely on your own staff to deal with these issues because we do not have, like for example, PSUN, we are not a millionaire union. You can look at some of the offices of some of the comrades who maybe were millionaire unions. They have high-rise buildings. We are just an ordinary union. And it's not always that you have those funds to put down a 50,000 to pay for an advocate and so on. And besides, the law makes provision for you to appear before the labor commissioner, before the arbitrator, and argue on behalf of your members, if the arbitrator can just have the mindset of what is this process all about, and rule accordingly. Certain things are just straightforward.
Do you think they have that mindset?
No, at this point in time, they don't. No.
What are some of the most common issues that your union perhaps finds with arbitrators?
For example, you have arbitrators, like we are the public service union, we are mainly in the public service. The arbitrator is a government employee. You have a case against the Ministry of Education. The government lawyer comes and the HR from government, and the arbitrator is supposed to make a determination against the government, while the arbitrator is a government employee. We don't believe that there is any independence there.
Yeah.
And it also because the lawyer that turns up in this case, apparently because the lawyer works for the government, is an employee, so the lawyer comes as an employee of the government, they can represent members against the member himself or ordinary trade unions. We need government cases to be adjudicated by private arbitrators. Then we can have that. Then we have this avalanche of labor consultants and lawyers that have maybe found a niche that there is money in the labor market. People are being fired left, right, and center. They can make money, and they are there. The employers belong to employers' federations and associations, which is legal. There is nothing wrong with that. And whenever you have a case against the company, even a simple case, the company gives it to the employers' association or federation. They send a lawyer. So we have to deal on a daily basis with lawyers, and it's not every time that you can bring in lawyers, but in cases that are really complex, that's where you rope in lawyers to come and assist the union.
Yeah. So is this perhaps a case of unions not evolving with the job market?
The unions are evolving with the job market, but as I always say, when people go to labor consultants, because maybe they feel they will be better represented, we should look at the trade union movement in Namibia. All along since its inception, Namibia has a low trade union density. We have very low unionization rates. And there are hordes and hordes of companies there that are ununionized. Things have been like that all along in Namibia. It has been the culture. So when labor consultants and lawyers are coming in, they are tapping on the ununionized and so on. Then you have rulings like the one of the NBC that makes the workers also lose faith in the unions. Now, how does a union evolve? You grow by adding more lawyers on your team. Do you have the means, the financial means to sustain these lawyers? Can you afford the advocates? The answer is no. Unless, as I said earlier, if you are a millionaire union. Yeah. So trade unions, to me, I'm not saying we are all perfect, but we are doing what we can. But today there are a lot of questions as to are the unions really losing relevance? Are they evolving?
But do you think unions are still relevant? Do unions still have a place in Namibia 10 years from now? Would they still have a place?
Unions have a place in Namibia for the next 1,000 years.
But considering where the nature of jobs, where that nature is going?
You see, if you look at the whole concept of the future of work, you will realize that there is a threat to all trade unions across the world. As digitalization is coming in, people are working from home. How do you unionize somebody who's working from home? Somebody is an independent consultant, the type of work that is available now. It becomes difficult to unionize. But as a developing economy, as a developing state, unions are still relevant because a lot of work, workers need representation. There is a move in issues of job acceleration, just transition when you look at climate change and all these aspects. Yes, it is threatening to unions, but not only in Namibia, across the world. It's a concern for all unions. But unions will always remain there.
But so lastly, you spoke of the future of work. What is PSUN doing in terms of readying itself for the future? What are you currently doing? Maybe research or anything? What are you up to?
What we are doing as PSUN, we are in the public sector. That's where we operate. So what you have to do to become relevant is that you have to embrace 21st century technology. You have to move along. You have to find new ways of recruiting members. The old traditional ways of coming to companies to address companies is not working that much anymore because people are busy. How else do you recruit? You have to move into the direction of social media. So we have already started with those projects. Nowadays, websites are not that effective anymore. You can imagine how many people go to the website rather than to Facebook to listen to this program we are busy with here with that we're busy with now. So we are, as PSUN, adapting to embracing new technology in recruitment and reaching out to members.
Well, Mr. Haakuria, thank you very much for your time this evening. Have a pleasant evening, and we wish you well in your endeavors. Thank you. Well, to our viewers, that's it from the Evening Review team. Thank you for staying tuned and have a pleasant evening.